The Pope and Young Club wants to welcome you as we rally together to ensure our bow hunting opportunities for today and tomorrow. You've come to the podcast that believes in preserving, protecting, and promoting the passion for bow hunting. Join us as we strive to be the voice of today's bow hunter. This is the Pope and Young Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pope and Young Podcast. Jason Roundsville here, joined as always with my co-host Dylan Ray. And we have with us special guest and Pope and Young Life member. We have Remi Warren with us. Remi, welcome.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Where are you these days?
Well, I'm actually in Reno, Nevada right now, which is where I'll probably see you guys next, to be honest.
Yes.
April. We're invading.
Yeah, coming to my hometown. It's nice when all my friends come visit me, Okay, yeah, sure, there's a Pope and Young convention too, but I like to pretend that they're coming to see me,
Absolutely. Well, it's it's funny because we've been working on panel invites and everything, and it's so interesting because we got folks we got one guy who is like undertaking an ordeal to get a caribou from Newfoundland down to Reno. And then there's even a rumor out there that you may have had some animals invited this year. So care to elaborate on any of those?
Well, actually the one right behind me, I'm pretty sure this doll sheep, and then a nice caribou I took in Alaska. So yeah, I had an elk and woodland caribou that I just forgot to send the score sheets into. So maybe that'll be next time. But for me, it's not so hard. I can just throw them in the trailer and bring it down myself.
I think
too much.
Any animal that you shoot with a mouth tab, you should add 20 inches to.
I 100% agree with that.
Jason, have you seen this? Have you seen this process? Have you seen this? What he's been doing?
A little bit, but it's like, you know what?
Crazy.
Yeah. What, Remi? So tell us about this. Well, first of all, you've got until the end of the year. If you have any score sheets just sitting around, like I wish I had, you got until the end of December. So you still have a couple of weeks to get them in, and they'll make the record book, which will actually debut at Reno at convention. We will have the first copy of the brand new double edition record book. So yeah, if you got a couple of score sheets sitting around, get them in, and that way they'll hit the book in April.
I'll mail those today. Actually, that's good.
Perfect. Excellent. So tell us about, because Dylan's been talking about this. So how did you decide what spurred you to go to the mouth tab? Let's let people hear that story first.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily by choice, more by force. I tore all the tendons in my wrist that allowed for the wrist to move, essentially, like the controlling portion of it. I had a fairly extensive surgery in first couple of days in February this year. And unfortunately, there was complications with the surgery, and it didn't take. They took out some tendons in my forearm and reran everything. And then what ended up happening, in long story short, the anchor failed. And it wasn't a very easy surgery in the first place. And then we had to redo it. Back in June again, then I had to, redo the surgery. I had planned it out where I thought, the 6-month recovery, and I'd be ready by hunting season, or essentially by August. But I kind of had in the back of my mind, what happens if I get to the fall hunting season and I can't use my hands still. So starting early on, I learned to shoot with the mouth tab, thinking I might not need to hunt with it, but I had a couple hunts in our springtime, in April, May, in Hawaii and New Zealand. And so I took the mouth tab on that hunt. And then I'm really glad that I did, because I essentially had to used it the entire season. As a fellow waterfowler, you might appreciate this and you might shake your head at me. How I damaged the wrist, I think initially, I shot a mallard that was cruising by at probably, I don't know, 40 feet up, flying 30 miles an hour. And it came right down toward me. And in my head, I said, I'm going to catch that.
Oh no!
You wouldn't. Why would you do that ever?
No.
Like if your buddy was on a roof with a brick and is like, I'm going to chuck this at you, grab it, you wouldn't do it, right? But it was too tempting, and that was what originally I think damaged it, and then just kind of like that was at one point I just taped my fingers together. Thought not like just like every guy like it'll buff out, right? Like just jam my fingers. Yeah. And then later that year, or later that was in so the following fall, I was shooting my bow a lot and I started to get pain and it just never went away. And then I was sheep hunting in BC and using the trekking pole on a steep hillside and it just gave out and slammed my wrist into the mountain. And that's what dislocated all the bones after the final tendons tore. And then I proceeded to go the entire hunting season after that, guiding and hunting until I could get it fixed because the recovery was so long. I couldn't do it in the middle of the season. So it's been almost like a 3-year thing, 2-year thing, essentially. But in the process, I learned to shoot my bow by using a mouth tab. For those not familiar, it's a piece of fabric. I made my own piece of fabric on the D-loop. You bite down with these molars, you draw back, you line it up, and then you just relax your jaw and let it fly. I didn't know how successful it would be, but through the course of the season, I don't know if there was a tag that I wanted to fill that I didn't fill. Like I was really successful with it. A lot of luck, and then just a lot of being just relentlessly persistent, I think. And it was actually
times you're making your own luck.
What was that?
I said a lot of times you're out there making your own luck.
I think so. Yeah. There were those instances where I was like, well, that worked out. But yeah, man, I think the process of it for me it was new. It really enlightened me to the struggle that there's a lot of people out there that I would consider adaptive archers, right? That have to do this all the time. Fortunately for me, like at the time, I didn't know whether it was going to be a permanent or temporary thing, with always the hope that it's temporary. And it was temporary. I just started shooting with my hand 2 weeks ago. But man, just going through that process was really cool for me. And then, it kind of brought me back to learning a new skill and a new way to bow hunt again. It kind of reminded me of hunting with a trad bow, really, like a lot of the similar techniques and things. You're just drawing the bow with your mouth. And I actually did go one hunt with my recurve, because I like to do at least one trad bow hunt, or normally more, but one trad bow hunt a year. So I did go hunt with the recurve and a mouth tab. I almost got a pronghorn. It was a really fun season. It's a season that I'll remember forever. And some of the animals that I took, I think, you can, whatever. I think, as we've talked about before, the trophy for me is the hunt and the experience. And sometimes I get lucky and get something really big, but those animals are ones that are going to hold a high place in my memories, because of the struggle and the challenge that it took to get them, and the things that I went through to kind of get to that point to be successful. So overall, I don't think I've had a better season, to be honest, in many ways.
I actually use this as an example. Just this weekend, somebody asked me, what makes a good hunter? Like, what do you define a good hunter as? And I said, a lot of people look at, like, man, who's got the biggest animal, like who holds the world record or whatever. And, dude, they killed a giant elk 2 years ago. Yeah, but they've only killed 2 other elk in their life, So are they a good hunter, or did they stumble upon a big animal at one point? And I said, when I think of a good hunter, I think of somebody who just consistently goes out and kills mature animals, and they don't let obstacles stand in their way. They don't let, different terrain stand in their way. They just find a way to kill big animals. And I said, take Remi Warren, for example. He literally blew his hand out and had to use a mouth tab but he's still consistently killing big animals. And for me, that's what makes a good hunter, is somebody who just finds a way to consistently kill big animals. So kudos to you, man. I mean, it was a cool process to kind of watch and look at, but I would hate to have to do it, but kudos to you for doing it for sure.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, for me, in some ways, I'm just too dumb to quit. And in other ways, it's just like I love bow hunting too much to let an injury sideline me. But going through the process, I think, how many people do you know that have jacked up their shoulder or done something?
Yeah.
It's a good skill to know how to have, and you can definitely jump in there and learn it fairly easily.
Right. I did in high school one time. I broke my palm. The whole muscles holding your palm and everything was torn, and so I had a full cast that went up my thumb, and so I couldn't hold a bow. Like it was it was a hard cast, and so I couldn't hold a bow. But buddy, it made a great rifle rest. You just hold that up there and then put your rifle right there in the cast, and so I shot a couple deer that way.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know, mouth tab. Whoo, that just sounds dangerous.
Jason, you and I have enough trouble without a mouth tab, much less with using our mouths.
Yeah, I know. It's one thing. That's like where you get to the point where now he's just showing off. He's like, you know what? I'm such a better bow hunter than you guys. I one-handed, literally one-handed. I'm a better. Remi's a better bow hunter than we are, Dylan. That's how much this is. So
yeah.
What was that process? Because I mean, you talk to people all the time that are quote unquote forced to go to another weapon because of a shoulder issue or something like that. So I mean, mouth tab, did that just pop into your mind? Did you just say, you know what? No, I don't want to shoot anything else. I'm gonna try this, or was that something that you had researched, or how did that just pop up?
Yeah, so I was actually very fortunate because I kind of think that the barrier into it, there wasn't a lot of information out there. And it is something I would like to try to at least get more information out there. I have a friend by the name of Nolan Young. He lives here in Reno. And he has to shoot a mouth tab because he's unable to use his hand. And he's a phenomenal archer. He's a great hunter. And that was really inspiring to me because it's like I've seen it done before. I've done shoots with him in the past. Like I've seen the success that he's had. He's a great shot and comes back with some phenomenal animals. And so I've seen it before. And so I reached out to him and he kind of set me up with his technique. And I think just that barrier of like, okay, am I doing this right? Am I getting that first time you drop back? Am I going to rip all the teeth out of my mouth? I actually went down to the Hunting House bow shop here in Reno. And they helped me out a lot because it was like, to have the right equipment. So I actually started on I grabbed a Genesis and we just turned it down to like 20 pounds and just built the mechanics of like, okay, it's doable, right? Instead of just grabbing a 50, 60 pound bow. And then, I definitely had to modify my equipment. I had to shorten my draw length. I had to decrease the draw weight to start. And then I used Nolan's. He likes to use a leather tab, and I did that for a while, but I had a couple problems where it was ripping, and so I ended up on one trip the leather tab ripped, and I needed to replace it, and I didn't have anything else, so I cut a piece off my bino harness, a piece of like the webbing, and then I just took a little sewing kit and I folded it over. And made it the way that I liked it. And I found that was really good for my style and the way I just really liked the way that shot. It was a little bit lighter than the leather too. So I think in some ways, it was, you kind of develop your own way of doing things like anything. Right. But I would have never I think it was just a really good benefit to have somebody show me the ropes and kind of walk me through the process. Like it was so valuable.
Wow. Thank goodness, you knew somebody who'd been down that road. So you didn't go over to, some bad weapon or something.
Yeah. I mean, No offense to anyone,
pretty
but I like
exciting.
vertical bow shooting, like that's kind of it's the way I like to hold the bow. So yeah, there's a lot of options too. And everybody finds their own way. And I still, it's funny because they're like, oh, well, why don't you just rifle hunt? And I still do rifle hunt. I always bow hunt way more than I rifle hunt, but actually with the injury, I wasn't able to, it was actually a lot easier to shoot the bow than to shoot a rifle. I wasn't able to work the bolt. I wasn't able to hold the gun right. Like there was a lot of things that I couldn't do, and I felt like I couldn't safely handle a fire. So, obviously, like the bow is my best choice, and I couldn't give up bow hunting as well. So I did that, and I tried a lot of iterations of possible options. There was a few, like I tried like an elbow strap. And just I had multiple casts and slings and other things on, and that it was hard. Is actually with the injury and missing a lot of the tendons and other things, I couldn't get the elbow strap to work for me. Maybe it works with other people. If you broke a bone, I think that would be a good way to do it. If you tore a shoulder, you wouldn't be able to do it. But I did try other things, and the fastest, most efficient, and fairly accurate way for me to shoot was with the mouth tab. I tried a lot of different things, and that was the one that I settled on as being the best for my style of hunting.
Gotcha. And where did you sound? Because I hear mouth tab, and I'm like, same thing. I'm not tearing the teeth out of my mouth. Where did you end up when you were hunting? What weight were you pulling?
Right around 65 pounds.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. And, I now realize I could pull more. The thing about it is you're using your molars. So it's not catching on your front teeth or anything. You're lining it up with your molars here. And I actually have the bite marks in my tab, and I've got the way it's folded, the corner fits in the corner of my mouth. So my anchor point's the same every time. And so you can actually, once you kind of figure out the mechanics, it's just like anything else. You build it up pretty quick. The scariest thing though, when I first started, was you get drawn back and you're like, wow, great. And then you realize, how do I let down? Right? Because when you let down, if you don't let that arrow go, that arrow is, the knock is coming right back at your teeth with whatever weight you're pushing forward. So the tactic that Nolan showed me is like you move your neck forward and in at the same time. First time you do that, that is a scary experience. That's the one that, drawing back isn't the scary part. It's actually letting down if you don't have a shot. So building the skills for that, you can probably draw back more than you can let down, I would say. But, over time you figure it out, and it's actually,
it becomes just like about that.
Yeah, that's the thing people don't think about. Is like, okay, letting down with your hand can be hard enough, and you got to get it over that valley or whatever, depending on the kind of bow you're shooting and how it's set up. And yeah, you've got a knock that's coming right back to your teeth, or lip or whatever. It's a different, interesting experience the first time you learn to do that.
Were there any bad mess ups with the mouth tab?
There was, I wouldn't say bad mess ups. I did have one time the D-loop broke. Somehow the tab had actually cut the D-loop, and midway at the peak weight of the draw, it snapped. I was pointing it at the target, and it actually went, I was able to find the arrow and everything, but that kind of shock of full strength pulling back with your neck. And then I actually caught it on video. It's funny. I was slow motion filming, and it just so happened to be the one time I did that, the D-loop broke. It was kind of funny. I had to laugh afterwards. Everyone, my friends are like, how's mouth tab shooting going? I'm like, here, check out this video, Look like I got punched in the face, but no harm, no foul. And then, there was a couple times where I was at full draw, and you think you're biting hard enough, but it just like time ran out, and the tab slipped, or whatever. There was one time where I was early on, I was actually in Hawaii hunting feral goats, and I tried to stop a goat by going like trying to make a grunt noise or something. And it just was like, didn't think about it. Wham, arrow goes off, and it was like 6 feet over its back into the never nevers. And I'm like, well, that didn't work. Just chalk that one up to experience. And on to the next one here.
Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, and you don't think about a knock on an arrow being dangerous until you pulled one out of a target and stuck it in your leg. So
Yeah.
I can't even imagine having one coming right back at your face like that.
No, I know. And that's the first thing you think about is all those times where you got stuck or you're at a 3D thing and a guy pulls one and stabs you with it. And you're like, man, the back end of the arrow is probably more dangerous than the front end.
Yeah.
You aren't paying attention, you know?
That's crazy. Wow. So now is the hand good now moving forward? Are you going to be a release shooter, or are you just going to stick with the mouth tab because it's,
No, I'm going to go back. I've got, just
up a bow hunt.
I've just got like a strap index release. I've got the strength. I don't have the mobility. Like I've got the strength in the wrist. I couldn't hold like a handheld release yet. I just don't have the strength in the hand, but I'm able to pull back. Like the wrist is stout enough to pull back. I've got a 65-pound bow right now, and I've been shooting it, and it's been going really well.
Is a mouth tab something you'd ever use again, or not unless you're forced to?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Recreationally, I think I'll probably keep it in the bag of tricks, though. I think I'll probably continue to shoot it, or at least have a bow. Take an older bow and set it up for it, because you just never know, right? Like you don't know when you might have an injury or something, and it's something I never thought about beforehand. But man, if you got an old bow lying around, it wouldn't be a bad thing to set up, because if you get injured and you don't have the time to figure it out, you kind of are, you're eating a season or a tag or whatever. My brother this year drew one of the best antelope archery tags in the state, and a week before his season damaged his shoulder playing hockey. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, he had to turn his tag back in, but if he had had been doing it long enough to be comfortable with it, he probably could have just said, oh, cool, I'm going to switch over. It's harder to draw the tag than anything. I'll take my chances because I've got the tag and I can do the hunt at least. So it's a good backup plan. I don't know, because you just don't know when or if something else will happen. So it never hurts to kind of have that skill set. I never thought of that beforehand, but now thinking about it, it definitely wouldn't hurt to kind of have that knowledge and continue to just stay fresh with it, I guess.
Yeah. Or do you ever think about, heading to the range, and then when you get the kind of the loudmouth guy that's, bragging, I'm a better shot than Remi Warren, then you can just say, dude, you know what? I appreciate you and all, but I could literally outshoot you one-handed.
Yeah, maybe just make an expedition thing, or exposition thing out of it,
Hey, we've got our Jason.
Yeah.
We've got our 3D digital hunt at convention. We could do a promotion, outshoot Remi with one hand, and
yeah,
yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll bring it down to that. I'll stay fresh on it and keep shooting. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a prize. Yeah. We'll have to figure that out, Dylan. There's got to be some promo value there, especially 100%. Since we're in his backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Jason, you had a sponsorship question you needed to ask Remi.
I do. Hey, Remi, are you connected with Mountain Dew?
No.
Okay, all right. That's so one of these days, man. This is our number one sponsor opportunity. Diet Dew, if you're listening, we have one sponsorship opportunity left for you. Anyway,
yeah, I did.
So that's
actually in the past. I did some stuff for them for a nonprofit because they had an opportunity. They're donating a bunch of money. I don't know if they're still doing that to outdoor conservation groups, but I don't know if they're still doing that. So I did some stuff for them to get some money for Nevada Bighorns Unlimited.
Okay, yeah, I know. I mean, gosh, if you show up at a deer camp or a duck camp, man, it's everywhere. Yeah. And so they'd be remiss not to want to facilitate that. So
Jason gives them more business than maybe anybody in America.
I'll tell you what, I don't do social media at all anymore because I just
Remy,
don't
before you
much.
got on,
I
Jason said,
should,
I need to get
I
an
just don't.
Instagram.
But
I said, Jason, you do have Instagram. He said, I do? I'm like, yes. He said,
I
wow,
know
look at
it's
that.
terrible. It's terrible. But back in the Facebook days, actually, I think the one photo that I posted, and it was from my hunting camp in Alberta, and we had like this entire wall of shotgun, like cases of shotgun ammo and cases of Diet Dew. And I think I said something like, if you have to decide between running out of ammo and Dew, and we chose neither, and it was just this wall. And I think that got more likes than anything else I ever posted. So at least I'm consistent.
That's funny.
Yeah. So what's up next on what's the next big challenge? You conquered the mouth tab. What's next?
Well, we're actually going to be having another baby here, so we got another little one on the way this winter. So
Congratulations!
That's the next challenge there, right? And then
congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. Really excited for that, and it's been a lot of fun. As our daughter's getting older, taking her out and doing that, it's a lot of fun. Just looking forward to that, more of that in the future.
Yeah, that's how exciting! What a neat time.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna play the draw game and see what luck comes my way this year. So I've got a lot of points, a lot of places. I've been saying that for the last 23 years though. So like, we'll see. I don't even know if some of these tags are you even able to draw, but I keep putting my name in the hat. We'll see what happens.
That's the thing, and there's some people who started drawing 20 some years ago, and now all of a sudden the tag that they've always wanted isn't worth the 20 years they've been putting in for it, because things change.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and then I've got one tag that I've been putting in for a long time. I've got, I think, 23 points, and I've had 2 friends draw it with less than 3 points. You're like,
oh,
okay.
Man.
I was like, at least I know people that are getting it, right? It's all good.
Yeah. I've got a buddy of mine I went to college with. I think he drew a sheep, he drew a sheep tag in Oregon. His cousin drew one, somebody else drew one, and it's like they've had such good luck that I've thought about driving the 4 hours to the middle of the state just to put in at the same location where they put in.
There you go.
Just in case that has anything to do with it, because otherwise, some of those the odds are so crazy you don't ever expect to draw them. Yeah. And then to know people that have known several people in a row that have gotten them, it's pretty intense.
Oh yeah.
If you had to pick one tag in the country, what would it be?
Ooh, right now, I mean, that's a very hard question. I don't know. I really like sheep tags. I'd probably pick a Nevada desert sheep tag. But I don't know. I think the Arizona strip mule deer tag would be one of those tags. It'd be kind of a incredible hunt, just to be, hunt that area. And then I don't know, I'd like to have an elk tag in Utah at some point in my life, or a limited entry elk tag in Utah at some point. I think between those 3, it wouldn't really matter. They're all about the best thing. A Missouri Breaks tag for sheep would be good, but I don't even put in for it. I put in for somewhere else. So, you can't draw what you don't put in for as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that's now. So if you had to pick one, would sheep hunting, would that be your main thing?
Yeah, I think, I just enjoy chasing sheep, and it's such kind of a rare opportunity, right? Like you don't get the tags that often. It's a fun hunt. It's not something you get to do all the time. So when that tag does come around, it's really special.
So of everything you've hunted, with obviously mallards being the most dangerous game, what would you consider the second most dangerous game?
Yeah, I would say mallards is at the top of the list. Like they've done more damage to me than anything else. And then I would say after a mallard would probably be a grizzly / brown bear, But outside of that, I think that just sometimes the terrain in mountain goat hunting can be pretty dangerous as well. I'd probably get more if I was like sketched out about a situation. It's always been in the mountains chasing sheep or goats. The bears don't really bother me much. So as long as it's not a falling mallard or falling off a cliff, you're pretty safe, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I've heard a lot of horror stories about trying to catch birds like that, where those wing bones that come down and they're like a giant hypodermic needle. I've had buddies that got hit with those. Buddy of mine in Canada, he's got stitches on his head from where a goose came down and hit his barrel and it bounced it back into his head. So
yeah,
it's sometimes a little underrated on the terror specter.
Yeah. It's dangerous out there. Watch the skies, boy.
Yeah. That's well, I'll tell you what, we're really excited to come see you and be back in Reno. I know last time, we're ready to go during the whole COVID mess, and then we had to kick it into July, which is not a great time, for conventions, but it turned out really good for us, and we were excited to be there, and a lot of people came out in force. But I'll tell you what, the folks that made it last time are coming back, and a lot of folks that didn't make it last time are coming. So we're expecting a complete sellout in April. We're really excited to get back there.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I know one of the things that we're in full tilt boogie on right now is getting the animals, the panel invites out to animals. And this will be my third panel, I guess, that I'll get to attend. I'm not an official measure. I just get to show up and thank everybody for doing what they do. I'll guess, since I've never had anything invited, nor have I had anything even remotely close to being invited to panel, like, does that sink in, like the level of trophy that you have to get invited to a Pope and Young panel like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, you're like, oh, that's a pretty cool experience, because there's a lot of people out there bow hunting, and, and I know, I've been out there enough to know that those opportunities don't come very often. Right. Even to take something of a certain caliber, I shot my biggest bull elk, I guess it was last year. And, I've spent thousands of days hunting elk, whether it's guiding or hunting, you know what I mean, in pretty much general units. And whether you're in a general unit or trophy unit, the opportunity for an animal of a certain size to present a shot and then make good on that shot and everything work out, it's a very, very low percentage, right? So, I think that for me, when I do take an animal like that, I think it's cool to be able to kind of like, enter it in the book and just kind of like in many ways, just give extra respect to that animal that's definitely dodged a lot of hunters and been very elusive throughout its life. To be able to take it with a bow is a pretty cool experience. So it's pretty cool to be able to get that invite to bring something to get panel scored. I didn't
absolutely
submit it, and you don't even think about it. But then somebody's like, "Oh yeah, bring it in." I'm like, "Oh, really? Wow, that's pretty crazy." Like that's an honor for not necessarily me, but also just for the animal that this represented in that.
Absolutely, it's pretty impressive to see some of those. I mean, you walk around and it, on one hand, it's just amazing to see the trophies. And last time going through the hall in Reno, it's just like, here's monster after monster after monster. And we've got even more committed to come in this year than we had last year. And so it's just, it's so neat to see. But boy, you almost get a little bit, I don't know what the correct term is when all of a sudden, like you just are around monsters all the time to where it's just like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I know. I liked cruising through some of the mule deer and stuff, and you're like, wow, these are some really incredible animals, but it keeps the dream alive too, right? Because, some of those are ones that people have been chasing for years or put in a lot of time. And some of them are ones that somebody just happened upon. There's been times where I've chased certain elk and it hasn't worked out. And my biggest bull was one that I just cold called in the forest in an area that doesn't generally produce big bulls like that. And you just never know, right? So it kind of keeps that dream. You just don't know what's lurking out there unless you get out there and hit the mountains with a bow in hand, right?
That's a fact. And it's so neat to hear those stories because you have, some people that just had no idea that a world record was anywhere near their hunting area. And then you have other guys they're chasing the true giants, that if it doesn't have a shot at being a top 10, they're maybe going to keep looking. And for the rest of us, it's like, you imagine taking a top 10 is just incredible. And to look at one that you're like, I don't know if that would be a top 10. I'm going to keep looking. Just that's a level of commitment that not a lot of folks have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I think I read something online. Was that big bull that you got, was that at the tail end of a hunt and you're just like, hey, I just want a bull, and then all of a sudden this monster?
Yeah, I mean,
it
was sort of. It was. I mean, I wasn't like we were filming, and I didn't really have like high expectations. A place that I guided nearby for a while, but I hadn't been there in years, and it was more like I wasn't being picky. It was an either sex tag. I was still hunting bulls, and my goal was like a nice 6 point. Right. And then I was joking though because we'd had, when you have an opportunity and like just one thing goes wrong and you go, though, that was my opportunity for the week. Like you kind of go like, that's it. Like, man, I had that opportunity, but he circled around us. We went up, he went down. It was too thick to shoot. He was right there. He saw one of the other guys with us and bolted. And it was just like highest high, lowest low. And then I was just joking around like, all right, I'm ready to shoot a spike. Then I just decided we're going to go to the like thickest, nastiest country possible, the hardest place to get to from here. We went there and just the plan was to just call it maybe for a bedded bull, and the plan worked, right? And the bull that walked out was an absolute giant. So you just don't know. Had the bull that walked out been a 200-inch 5x5 raghorn, I would have shot it. I wasn't like particularly looking for that big bull, but hey, the opportunity happened and made good on it, right? And there's other hunts where I've, been big and passed up every bull I've seen and never killed a bull that big. So,
yeah. And see, I love the stories like that because it tells me that, hey, it can even happen for me.
Yeah.
Like that's, if you're like, oh no, it's 380 or nothing. I'm like, okay, I'll never find myself in a position where I'm going to say, no, I think that bull's only 372. So I'm going to hold off. But like the one where you're just out there and you're like, hey, if it's a branch bull, I'm probably going to give it a go. And then all of a sudden you get a true monster. That's exciting to see. So it really lets people know that, hey man, it can happen for anybody.
Oh yeah.
Now you have to have the preparation. You have to have the talent. You have to be in the right spot at the right time. And you're never going to get that if you're sitting on the couch thinking about hunting. And I think that's, once again, you make your own luck a lot of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, Remi, I'll tell you what, one thing, and that we ask everybody on this show is whether you're chasing sheep on the mountain or elk anywhere you're chasing them, what is that one thing, kind of a non-traditional item you like to take with you on every hunt?
Ooh, the a non-traditional item that I like to take, like just not with your like just a creature comfort of some kind?
Yeah.
I don't know. Gosh darn,
A mouth tab.
yeah.
I'm thinking mouth tab.
Yeah, I mean, the mouth tab is pretty good. Lately, I've been taking some kind of arm brace, which hasn't been, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing to take. When I'm packing that, it's a bad reminder. Yeah, I think, you know what? I've always got, here's a good one. I always have a pack of smoked oysters. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite things to eat on the mountain. I've got one celebration can of smoked oysters.
Do you remember his answer from last time, Jason? Because I do.
Was it trash bags?
Yeah, and I started using a trash bag.
Trash bags.
Yeah, I was gonna say trash bags, but I remembered that I said it last time. And I was like, I gotta. But smoked oysters, that's mountain money right there. Like nothing better than a good smoked oyster at the end of a successful hunt.
That's like, that's like, now you're talking like good old fashioned Arkansas stuff.
Oh yeah.
Hey now. Hey.
Those guys eat anything, man. It's I went out my first duck hunt down there. I don't know what happened, if they just like were finding stuff in the bottom of their bag, but I mean, it was like, oh, here's like Vienna sausages and mustard sauce, and I think they had smoked oysters, and they had, I don't know if there were sardines or herring. I'm like, guys, do you eat these or do you put these on a hook for bait? Because we don't eat these where I'm from, but
no, yeah, you got to try it. The key is, though, you got to get smoked oysters in oil. You can't get them in anything else. Smoked oysters in oil, a game changer. And if you're lucky, you got some crackers. Oh yeah, that's nothing better.
No, I took 2 black trash bags. I went hunting in Idaho on an elk hunt this year and took 2 black trash bags. Used them both for different things, and I'm like, thank you, Remi. Like, yes.
Oh yeah, that is the multi-tool of the backcountry hunters pack. I don't know. There's been times where I forget my track. It's like forgetting your binoculars or your bow, man. I've used them pretty much every day for something. So good item to have.
Yeah. Well, we like trash bags. Just, I mean, no judgment or anything, but I don't think canned oysters are going to knock bacon off of the food list. Because I think, canned oysters, if you're looking at Uncrustables or bacon, it's a really, really distant third. Dylan, would you agree?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Smoked oysters are the bacon of the sea, man. What are you talking about?
No, you're not getting me on that one.
The bacon of the sea.
It's got a lot of energy. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Nope.
And then you can add that oil to your oatmeal.
All right. Well, you know
really
what?
Good.
Jason, I'm also wondering why we haven't put bacon, like wrapped an Uncrustable in bacon yet, though. Like,
there you go. You know what? We need to have, Dylan, let's set this up a convention. We need to do a breakout just on backcountry snacks.
We need to have an Uncrustable table, Uncrustable station,
Uncrustable
bar, if you will.
Yes. And maybe, you know what? Let's do this. Let's have bacon, Uncrustables, and oysters.
And we'll see what's left.
Let's see, smoked canned oysters. And let's just see. We'll do a taste test and just say, hey, if you had to choose one of these 3 for backcountry hunting, which would it be?
But Remi's going to come clear out the oysters, take them all back. See, look, I told you they're all gone,
buddy.
I told you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to do that. We'll set something up in Reno. But Remi, hey man, congratulations on another great season and overcoming a lot of obstacles. I know you're out there motivating and inspiring people, and it's always great to see the success that you have along with that. So congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that.
So we'll if I don't see you at one of the shows, we'll definitely see you in Reno in April. We're excited about it. We're literally working on that thing every single day from now till then. So It's going to be amazing. and I can't wait to see you there. So thank you for taking some time with us today. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks for everything. We'll see you
Yeah,
guys.
we'll talk. Yeah, sure will. Take
All
care.
right. Have a good one. See you guys.